amendment to the PI1, which is the planned industrial zone. You can see that properties to the kind of northwest and southeast along that corridor are already zoned PI1. So this would take that remaining island of GC2 and convert that to the planned industrial zone. It seems to be more of a housekeeping item and will create a contiguous zoning of the PI1 along the south side of the freeway there. And staff would recommend approval.
So Adam, this is the McCoy or the old McCoy's flooring and cabinets. Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Any other comments or concerns for planning from the commissioners? Engineering, are you here now?
Yep, I'm here now. Sorry, I had technical difficulties.
Well, it's tough to get old.
I know.
Do you have any comments on this first zone map amendment?
No, we've already been working with the applicant in fulfilling the condition for dedication of 100 West. He's provided a legal description that we've been reviewing on that. Basically, the existing road, the existing eastern portion of the road, or a portion of the eastern half of 100 West, and the sidewalk and curb and gutter on 100 West are currently on the applicant's property. So our condition was just to convey what is already a roadway to actually being a public roadway or right of way with the city. So they're already working on that, and we've been coordinating with them with that, and we would recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments for engineering from the commission? Hearing none, is the applicant here?
Yes.
Would you please state your name for the record and tell us a little bit about why you want to do what you want to do?
It's Steve Straight. What we want to do is have Alpine Machinery Repair move into the building that McCoy's moved out.
All right, any questions for the applicant from the commissioners? Hearing none, do we have any public comments on this one, Vendeline and Adam?
No public comments were received on this one.
All right, we'll open the meeting for public hearing. Seeing there's no comments, we'll close the public hearing. We need a motion on the item number 1 on the agenda from someone, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval of the zone map amendment subject to any conditions listed in the engineering report.
That was Jeff, correct?
Correct.
All right, have a motion from Jeff. Do I have a second?
There's Ryan, I second. Never mind.
I think Ryan got it.
All right, Ryan seconded, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion from Jeff, or second from Ryan. Any further discussion on this item from anyone? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Christine?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Harold? Is Harold with us, Vendeline?
Yeah, he is in the meeting. Let me just see if I can get him to unmute.
All right. Harold, can you hear us now?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can. What's your vote, please?
Yes. Hey.
All right. Jeff, vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye also. It passes 7-0. Adam, Vendeline, what's the applicant have to do from here on? Give me a little hint.
This will just be scheduled for city council. It will go forward to the council on, I believe, the 23rd of March. It will be on their agenda.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Moving on, hearing, review, and action on the zone map amendment for the property located at approximately 760 North, 200 East from the RA1 Residential Agricultural Zone to the R1 9000 Zone. Adam, would you lead us in this one, please?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, this is a zone map amendment request for the property along 200 East at approximately 760 North. It's currently zoned RA1. It's historically been used for residential agricultural purposes. There have been animals on the property. The property has been for sale, and it's requested that it be changed to the R1 9000 zone. This would allow for a residential subdivision. The applicants have indicated that they would like to develop this under a PUD provision in the R1 9000 zone. And the first step towards that is to request the zone change. And so that's what's before you tonight. The underlying land use classification is low density residential, which the R1 9000 falls in that classification. Just south of here is property that's zoned R1 7500. And then the R1 9000 zone is present to the west, and then also to the kind of to the northeast along 200 East.
All right, thank you. Any questions or concerns from the commissioners for Adam at this time?
I have a question. Where would the access be? Just, would those buildings be taken down to allow for access into the subdivision?
Yeah, likely many of those existing structures on the property would be removed, and there would be an access point along 200 East where it fronts 200 East.
Any other comments or concerns?
Would it keep the option open for having through streets, or would it be cul-de-sacs?
There would have to be a street stub to the north, and I know that probably would be for sure. I'm not sure about to the south. We've not really dove into any details on the subdivision because this is just the zone change and there's not been any formal subdivision approval. But yeah, there would need to be access likely to the north for a continuation of further development should that occur one day.
Would it require access to the south as well to kind of have a, through access into those neighborhoods rather than cul-de-sacs?
I don't know. I mean, potentially there could be access to the north and south, but I guess we'd have to see their subdivision design.
This has been, so a couple of, as far as the access, so there is a section in code. I don't remember right off what the section number is, but there is a section of code that actually identifies that I believe it's below 25 lots that they would only have one access, and above 25 it's required to have two access points. We've talked with them conceptually and briefly on it, of for sure, like Adam had mentioned, having a stub to the north. The south, we've talked about it, but there are a couple of challenges with it, and some of what code identifies in there. And obviously, again, this is just a zone change, not the actual subdivision layout. So we haven't seen other than a very brief concept of what could be, but nothing definitive. That we could definitely talk about it. But there's also, I know that the city has a project that we anticipate connecting 700 north to 740 north, and there's some topography challenges along through there as well. So some of it, if there were an access to the south, then there'd also, we'd have to look at access spacing requirements and stuff as well, that it may be too close to the future intersection there at 740 north and 100 east. So a lot of different variables with that. But we have for sure identified that they'd need to provide a stub going to the north.
And just remember, this is just for the zone change at this point in time, everybody. We haven't seen a site plan of any kind, so that's immaterial. We have to just wait and see what they decide to try and do with the topography and the ground that they have. Ben, do you have anything else to do with engineering on this one, please?
No, in our conversations with them thus far, I mean, this is the first step, like what Chairman Wiffenden had indicated. This is the first step that that they need to take, and then they'll be putting together the plans for an actual subdivision so we can see the layout with the roads and the lots and so forth. The master plan for 200 East identifies some right-of-way widths as well as some side path requirements along there. So there's some additional right-of-way that's required as condition of this zone change. The other thing that is on the trails and Parks and Trails master plan is a trail that kind of goes through the property or kind of towards the west. We've discussed that with the applicants, so they are aware of it, and they do anticipate meeting and fulfilling that master plan requirement as well. At which point, depending on where that alignment is, that'll be part of the review of the actual subdivision when it is presented to the city for review, so that we'll be able to make sure that they comply with that trail map as well.
So in other words, the real work starts if and when we get a site plan.
Correct.
Any questions or concerns for engineering from the commission?
We need to make fulfilling the trail requirements part of the motion, or is that kind of already implied?
It probably helps to just mention it. I would recommend that.
All right, is the attendee here on this, the applicant here on this one?
Yes, we are here. Sorry.
Please
I
state
put
your
number-
name and tell us about your project.
Yes, this is Keaton Morton. And yeah, so we are basically we're just, it's a pretty small project that we've got, just looking to get conforming density, something that's similar around. We've kind of worked with Adam closely, kind of just talked to him and met with staff a couple of times about the utilities in the area. So as far as access to the north and the south, we have not determined any of those. I mean, we've looked at some different options, but we haven't finalized anything this early on yet.
Right, I understand. This is just a zone changes we've talked about.
Correct.
Anything else you'd like to address the commission on?
No, I think that's it. No.
All right, thank you much.
We're just excited. We're just excited to work with American Fork. This is our first project here, so thank you for the opportunity.
Well, let's hope it's the first of many. We've got a fantastic staff to work with. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, so far we've loved them. They're awesome. So.
All right, thank you much. This does require a hearing. We'll open the meeting for a public hearing. I understand, Adam, you have a letter or two that you want to read into the record?
Yes, I did receive a letter last week. I forwarded that on to you earlier today, but I did want to read that just as part of the record. The letter is from Brandon and Teresa Blue. They are an adjacent or a neighboring property owner along 100 East at 822 North. And it says, hello, I received the letter about the AF City Planning Commission meeting on March 2nd, which should be 3rd, 2021. My husband and I own the property at 822 North, 100 East, American Fork, Utah, being right next to the proposed rezoning property, and we are strongly advising against this. We bought this house to the fact that there was a nice, quiet field in a city that is exploding too much as is with properties. The streets are overflood as is. Our property value will decrease with this development. Also, we will be looking at loud construction for who knows how long. I know that many neighbors here neighboring 757 North, 200 East are feeling the same. American Fork City has to take a stand for once and look after the well-being of its already established inhabitants. I hope this is taken into consideration when making a zoning decision. This will just be bad for American Fork, the property values, and the people living here. All the best, Brandon and Teresa Blue.
All right, thank you. Any other comments that have been received?
No, that is the only one that we received.
All right, thank you. If there's any other public comments on this project? If not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this point in time. Any other comments or concerns we need to address before we ask for a vote or a motion? If not, I'll ask for a motion from someone on this project, please.
Mr. Chairman, before I make a motion, and I don't need to make the motion, I just had a comment. To the Blues, I appreciate, if you're watching, I appreciate your comments, and I have to say I empathize. I moved into a house with a big field next to me, and I guess it's an inevitable thing that when other people own the land that's next to me, they choose what to do with it, and I didn't necessarily have a right to say what they should do with it. So I guess it was one way that I learned that I had rights over what happens on my land. But unfortunately, I feel with you that we don't always get to kind of choose what happens next door to us, as long as it fits within within proper zoning. So I also feel that new development will increase your property value if you know, if it's created and it will look nice. And I hope that that your neighborhood will feel the kind of new life and juice that comes from new development that will be beautiful. And anyway, I just wanted you to know that you were heard, and I empathize with you, and I appreciate your comment.
All right, thank you. I have to agree with Christine. I know when I moved here, it was almost 3 miles to the Lehigh City border. Now it's just a matter of a couple of blocks. Progress happens, and it's just something you have to live with. All right, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes?
I also wanted to make a quick comment. This is and it goes along with what you and Christine just mentioned, and that it's having been one of those who moved into the field next to someone else's house. There is it's always a balancing act, because that adjacent property owner does have rights to do things on their property within reason, and just because we may not like it does not mean it is not as long as it meets code and standards, then a development can go forward. So while I do recognize your concern, at the same time, we also have a mandate to work with property owners as they choose to develop within our community, and so our goal is to try to make sure that things are done smartly, and as Christine mentioned, to do them in a way that fits within the surrounding community.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? One last chance. All right, I'd entertain a motion from someone, please.
Mr. Chair, this is Ryan. I move that we recommend approval of the zone map amendment, subject to any conditions listed in the engineering report.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Ryan. Do I have a second?
Ryan, before I second it, do you want to add the reference to the trail?
That's a great point. So I will amend that to include, I move that we recommend approval of the zone map amendment, subject to any conditions listed in the engineering report and referencing the proposed trail plan. Does that work?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay.
So,
and this is Jeff. I'll second.
All right, we have a motion from Ryan and a second from Jeff. Any further comments on this project? If not, we'll take a roll call vote. Christine?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Harold?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye also. Passed 7-0. Thank you. Moving on, review and action on a commercial site plan for King and Mccleary located at 230 and 240 West Main Street in the CC2 Central Commercial Zone. Adam, would you lead us in this one, please?
Yes. If this one looks somewhat familiar to you, it's because it is. If you recall, early last year, there was a site plan for this same location. They were going to convert the existing home at the time into an office use. That proved to be cost prohibitive. The home has been removed and they're looking for approval to construct a new office building itself. They're still meeting all the requirements of the CC2 zone itself, preserving that front yard corridor and the parking. It'll be located behind the new structure. There will be a shared access with the property to the west, which is also owned by this same property owner. This is just expansion for their business. Planning would recommend approval of the site plan. They meet the requirements of parking and the other requirements of the CC2 zone.
All right, thank you. Any questions for planning from the commission? Hearing none come forward. Any, Ben, would you like to discuss the engineering aspects of this project, please?
So on the engineering side of things, the infrastructure, the utilities, sidewalk, curb gutter, everything's in place already in there. And so there won't be any significant impacts that way. And they were proposing to be able to, reutilize with some of the laterals and stuff. So, and other than that, we would recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions for engineering from the commission? Hearing none. Adam, just out of curiosity, what kind of business is going into these two buildings that they need to expand? They must be doing pretty darn good.
It's the King and Mccleary. They're in the one structure now. They're just looking to expand into this one as well.
What kind of business do they operate? Do you know?
The CPA, I believe.
CPA.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a busy time of the year for those kind of people right now, that's for sure. All right. Any other comments or discussion on this item on the agenda?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have one question.
Go ahead.
So it's a shared access. Is there something that needs to be created so that one lot owner versus the other can't try to shut access off to the other lot in case there's some type of issue or something like that in the future? Just preserving each other's rights to access to the access point.
Well, both lots are owned by the same company, it sounds like.
Don't they have the right to sell it at some point?
Well, they could, but yeah, that's a good point. They could sell it, but
They
right
would-
now, they're both owned.
There's no official subdivision plat. These are both lots of record. So what they could do, I guess you could make it a condition that they record or enact some kind of easement. Being that they own both properties, they would basically be the only ones on the easement documents, but that could be recorded for future use or title searches. But it's probably not a bad idea to do that in case one of the properties is sold, that does remain a shared access between both parties in the future.
Adam, this is David Peterson. We actually have a recorded cross-access agreement easement
Do you?
already on that property.
Okay. Okay, then that solves that issue.
Thank you.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll ask for a roll call vote at this, or I need a motion, I should say, first from someone, please.
Mr. Chair, this is Ryan. I move that we approve the site plan for King and Mccleary with the finding listed in the staff report and subject to any findings, conditions, and modifications listed in the engineering report.
All right, thank you. A motion from Ryan. Do I have a second?
I have a comment on the motion. I agree, David. Thanks for telling us. I still think we ought to have the motion that they ought to put that on the site plan just for future, that there is reciprocal access. I've seen too many of these issues. It's recorded, but that can be unrecorded. I think it ought to be added if you'd be willing to change your motion to put it on the site plan as well.
Ryan, what do you think?
I'm fine with whatever. I can see it both ways, but you could also, obviously we wouldn't want to have this nice building down on Main Street and not have an access that would grant, access to the back parking. I don't know how
Let me just jump in real quick. We actually do reference this easement on our actual site plan documents.
Yeah.
So that reference is included on the document and on the site plan already.
Well, I think it should be recorded on the plat. That's the legal document, right? Rather than just the site plan.
There's not a plat for this. It's not a subdivision. It's just existing lots of record.
Okay, fair enough.
And there is a recorded document that was recorded. I don't know, David, you could maybe help me, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and it was reviewed by the city.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
actually
that's fine. If
recorded a
it's
year
on
ago.
the
when we did
paperwork
the
the
site
city
plan.
has, I'm fine with the motion then. It's good.
I'd like to just leave my motion as is.
All right. We have a
That's
motion.
fine.
And I'll second it. This is Harold.
What was that last comment?
I'll second the motion, Harold.
Harold, all right, thank you, Harold. I have a motion and a second. Take a roll call vote. Christine,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Harold.
Aye.
Chairman votes aye also. Passes 7-0. Thank you, everyone. All right, moving right along. Other business. Adam,
I'll just give a quick update. So yesterday at the council's work session, the police department gave a brief presentation on what they call crime prevention through environmental design, or the acronym is CPTED. And the city council felt that it might be good to have that presentation given to you as planning commissioners. So we'll coordinate with the police department to give you that presentation. It's just basically some considerations on landscaping and building placement and lighting to help reduce crime just through those simple items. And so the council appreciated the presentation. And one thing that was kind of cool with it was the police department took pictures and gave the council real life examples of places here in American Fork that are following a lot of those principles, whether they know it or not. And so I think it would be good just for the Planning Commission to have that. And then as we look at future site plans, if some of those ideas come to mind, it's stuff that we could definitely make recommendation on as well as things move forward. And that's all I have.
all right, thank you, Adam. I have one item. I stopped into the city administration building this afternoon on my way back from Spanish Fork and paid my utility bill. And I ran into Dave, the city administrator, and he was asking all kinds of questions about the Harrington School and so forth and what they talked about yesterday at the work session. Could we put that on as a discussion item for maybe next agenda item? There's been a lot of questions brought up that we need to talk about. I think that we.
It's not ready yet to come to the Planning Commission. The site plan will come forward. All they're working on right now with the council is a lease agreement for some parking area. But until we see a site plan, there's not much to discuss.
All right, I just kind of wondering because they're talking about owning the ground and leasing it, and they want a site plan before they do anything. And they're trying to talk about parking. It's really kind of confusing. If we want to wait till the site plan shows up, that's fine. I just kind of wonder if we need to talk about it before then.
I don't think so, because part of the provisions in the lease agreement reference an approved site plan. And so that would have to come to the Planning Commission regardless.
Okay. Well, I've got quite a few comments after talking to Dave for most of the afternoon that I think the Planning Commission can have some really definite input on it to see what happens once we get the site plan.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do move forward.
Yeah, they've got some major obstacles to try and figure out a way around or over or something. It's not gonna be an easy build, that's for sure. All right, thank you. Anybody else have any other business? If not, we'll move on to site plan committee report. Vendeline?
I put the upcoming agenda on the screen. You'll see it's very short. We had anticipated that there may be another item, but that didn't turn out that way. So you'll have a short agenda with a zone change.
And we ever get back to having meetings till 1 o'clock in the morning, we're not going to know how to handle it after all these short meetings.
Well, we'll get back to that, I'm sure.
Not the 1 o'clock. I know we'll get big agendas, but not that late.
Party poop, they were interesting. All right, moving on. Review and action on the minutes of the February 17th, 2021 Planning Commission regular session. And need a motion on the minutes from someone, please.
Move to approve.
All right, motion by Jeff. Anybody want to second it, please?
Second by Ryan. Or Chris.
Chris?
All right. You can have it again.
Nope.
I have a motion from Jeff and a second by Chris. Take a roll call vote. Christine?
Aye.
Harold?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
chairman votes aye also, passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, we're down to the big one. Anyway, care to make a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn, Ryan.
Ryan, okay, do we have a second?
Second, Chris.
Chris, all right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you much for helping out this tonight, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
One
care,
more short
guys.
meeting down the drain.
Good night. Night, John.
Good night. Get better soon, young man.
Yeah, will do. Night, Lisa.